We've stretched out the posterior compartment, now it's time to stretch out the anterior compartment, specifically the quadricep or thigh and the hip flexor. Those are going to be two areas that we need to go ahead and focus on. Now, we're also going to stretch out the lateral thigh and also going to lengthen out the lateral compartment of the thigh, which is the IT band TFL. So these stretch muscles are all going to be stretched at one time. This is going to be a tough and time-consuming learning process when it comes to stretching this muscle group. But once you've learned it, I think you're going to find that band stretching of this area works extremely effective. So now, let's go ahead and let's set up first. We're going to go ahead and we're going to put the band around the arch of our foot, and obviously we're going to wrap it around just to lock it on. Now this is going to be our top leg, this is going to be our bottom leg. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to position myself on my side, take the band and put it behind. Make sure the band is small and light resistance when you first start this exercise so that you don't feel like you're fighting against the band. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to split our stance. So you're going to see I've got my feet split apart. Why is that important? Because that's going to keep my low back in a neutral position so I don't compensate through my low back, which is one of the first places we like to compensate when stretching out this muscle group. You'll notice my leg is resting flat on the ground, my knee is flexed, the band is going to go ahead and go behind me. Now I'm going to lay down, but when I lay down, I'm going to let the leg come up. Notice how I let it come up. That loosens it up so it allows me to go ahead and put the band behind and lock out. Now I'm going to come down, I'm going to put the leg back down and I'm going to put it back so that I can go ahead and start putting a stretch on it. This hand will stay locked out, this leg stays out in front, and now I'm just going to nice and easily start to lower my body, and that's going to be the dynamic component. If you need to come up higher because it's tight, start up higher and then slowly start to work your way down. Eventually you want to be able to lock this hand completely out and drop yourself flat down while this leg is flat on the ground. By doing that, you're not only going to stretch the thigh, but you're also going to start stretching this lateral compartment, the IT band TFL region, and start lengthening that out. Now, if you want to go ahead and make yourself a little bit more stable while you're stretching this, I want you to go ahead and position yourself so that you can put this front foot up against the wall. By doing that, it's going to lock that into place, allow this leg to go ahead and lengthen out further so that this leg cannot compensate and get closer to this leg. This opposite leg is going to want to compensate. It's going to want to do it by bending or coming closer to this leg. What we don't want is that to occur. So by putting the foot against the wall, you're going to immediately go ahead and allow yourself to drop down and start stretching out and keeping this stable so you get a much more effective stretch. So until you can get to this position, the next step I don't want you trying. However, now let's say that you can get to this position, you can get flat down, you can get the foot against the wall. What's next? Well, you can take the band, pull it, again, let this leg come up, pull it over your shoulder, and loop it over top of this foot. Now, notice I got this leg high, and so I'm going to bring myself back up. I'm going to make sure this is positioned on my shoulder, right on the bony part of my shoulder so it's comfortable. Then I'm going to lower this leg down. Now this band, hooking on that foot, brings this leg forward, allows it to go ahead and stay in position so we get a much more aggressive stretch by separating these two elements out more. So the left leg gets further away from the right leg. Once again, if this is too tight, you can always go ahead, bring the leg up to put some pressure off, and then put the leg back down to keep pressure on. But what's beautiful about this is the band is doing all the work of keeping my legs separated. Once I can get into this position comfortably, now I'm going to start working myself down, slowly lowering myself down and stretching out. Once I get there, now I can go ahead and bring in rotation by learning how to rotate back. You'll notice as soon as you bring in rotation, this leg is going to want to pop up. You need to work at keeping it down while you rotate. Just take your time rotating through that. And And that's how you're going to go ahead and start lengthening out this anterior compartment by doing a simple quadricep stretch using the band. But follow those progressive patterns and slowly work into it. It will take time, but over time, this becomes a very effective way to stretch out your thigh and bring in all three planes of movement, including rotation, side bending, and obviously hip extension.